What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Her Lounge podcast. I'm so excited for today's guest. And before we start, of course, you guys know we start with a positive quote or affirmation. And today, because of what we're speaking about, which is transformation, the wings of transformation are born of patience and struggle. So,
perfect.
With that being said, I want to welcome my guest, Valentine Terrazas, today. Hello, and thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I wanted to invite you on, Valentine, because I think and this is my opinion, okay, so just before, I think that we are so divided in the world. And I think a lot of the time, like I was telling you, it's because we don't take the time to understand each other, or we don't take the time to maybe ask questions. And with that being said, I also want to apologize in advance for my ignorance if I ask something like that you feel is common sense, but obviously for somebody like me, maybe it's not, you know what I'm saying? So I apologize for my ignorance, obviously, but I had seen your video about you talking about your transition into male on your cousin's Instagram. And we had just had a conversation about it because within us, with my husband and producer Rob, about it, where I was like, I don't get it. Okay, so you're transgender, but you're male now, and you're a straight male, but you used to be a lesbian. So I was like, Jesus, I feel like if we all kind of just sat down and really listened to someone, and I listened to the podcast, which you were on the Facebook Live. Was it a podcast?
It was like a radio Facebook.
Ah, okay.
And it was like my first time ever doing something
really?
like that.
Well, you were so open, and I love that. I love that you were.
You know, a lot of the questions that were being asked are questions I've answered my entire life,
okay.
So they come easy.
Okay.
You know, and it's something that it is me. So
yeah.
It comes easy to answer.
So I thought it would be interesting because I feel like the world that we're in right now lacks conversation and understanding one another, whether it's the political views that you stand, whether it's the gay community that you stand, whether it's transgender. I think with everybody always speaking about the argument of there's a gazillion genders now. Like a lot of people feel like there's not just a male and a female gender. A lot of people feel there's more than one gender. And I'm one that doesn't understand it, as myself. I completely feel like you can definitely feel like you're in somebody else's body for sure. I can see that, but I don't understand the whole different genders. And I always feel like we've got to talk about this. You know what I'm saying?
For sure,
yeah, we got to talk about it. So thank you for being on and for coming to educate us. And
yeah, definitely. I also want to make it clear that what my responses are just my experience.
Sure.
As far as, I am part of the LGBTQ plus community, but I don't want to represent anybody that doesn't, agree with me.
Sure.
Also, if there's something that I say that is not right on, please comment below.
Yeah.
Make sure that you educate me as well, because I am learning. This is a learning process.
Sure.
Not just for everybody else, but it is for me. Going through the process, I'm learning a lot, what the process is, and about myself as well.
Sure. So take us a little bit through the beginning, I guess. So you were lesbian or you were straight before?
So growing up, like everybody else, I'm a little old school. So growing up, I didn't really even know what transgender was. So I thought that the only thing you could, identify as was straight, gay, bi, or lesbian, or a really butch lesbian.
Right.
So I was like, well, I think I'm a butch lesbian.
Yeah.
I mean, I started dressing like a guy since I was like 11. There was
that you felt that early on. Wow.
There was no doubt in my mind. I mean, even when I was younger, I never chose dolls. I always chose cars, dinosaurs, video games.
Are you an only child or do you have other siblings?
I do have other siblings, but I am the only child from my mom.
Okay, got it. Okay.
But I grew up with siblings.
Okay.
So it wasn't like, anybody taught me to be that way. One of my mom's questions one time I was talking about having a child, like a, typical Mexican lady. She's like, you're not worried about your kid being gay? And I was like, did you teach me how to be gay?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what kind of question is
Yeah,
that? And
yeah.
she was like, no. And I go, okay, well, I'm not going to teach my kid to be gay.
Right, right,
I'm going
right.
to teach my kid to be that.
Them, yeah.
But it was early on. I mean, there was no question about myself that I knew I was different. Like everything else, I learned it from watching TV. I was like watching, what was that show? The Rosie O'Donnell show. You know what I mean? She had like a lesbian on there and a gay guy on there, and they were talking about that kind of stuff. And when the girl was telling her story, I was like, yo, I think I'm a lesbian.
Wow. It took a TV
like
show to
it
realize.
just like clicked because I hadn't read it in a magazine, in a book. Nobody was explaining to me my feelings, right? Like,
And you didn't know anybody else
I didn't know
either.
anybody. I mean, I was a kid. Back then, it wasn't like now. Like, it's everywhere now.
Yeah.
People are talking about it. People are educating themselves about it. I'm learning about it, right now. I'm 35 years old right now. So, and I'm only been in my process for a year.
Oh, wow.
So it's one of those things where growing up, I had to learn how to accept it myself as well because of the world that we live in, the society that we live in, teaching us right from wrong. Like you're not supposed to, be gay, or you're supposed to be a housewife, taking care of your kids, and that's like, even more old school thinking, I mean, it's just the process with all that stuff.
So what was your female name?
My female name was Evelyn.
Evelyn.
It's a beautiful name.
Yeah. Wow. And so when did you finally kind of went to your parents and said, or your mom and said, I think I'm a lesbian?
So that is a funny story, or it's a very complicated. I'm gonna make it as short as I can and as in depth as I can. So growing up, my older sister, who is like a mother to me, chose Christianity as her religion. Therefore, introduced me, which I'm thankful for because she saved my life.
Sure.
I think that if she wouldn't have introduced me to church, I would have gotten into some things that I don't know where I would be.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
But, going to school, somebody went to school with me that went to church or knew my sister, something like that, told her that I had a girlfriend at school. Funny thing is I took my girlfriend to church, right? But...
Were you still dressing like a boy, or were you still like very feminine?
No. Like I said, I think I was dressing like a guy since 7th grade. So 6th grade was like the last time I had long hair. And then after that summer I cut my hair. And when I went back to school, nobody recognized me. And I had a homegirl who was like, hey boy, you so fine. And I was like, homegirl, it's me, Evelyn,
Oh my God.
And she started cracking up. So it was like a joke for a while, like growing up in school with everybody, and especially her. She got a kick out of it every single time a girl would tell her, ooh, he's so cute. And she's like, oh my God, like it was a kick for them, But for me, it was like I was actually kind of partially living my truth, right? I was portraying a male, but identifying as a lesbian, which was not completely who I was. I identified as a male, but I didn't know what transgender was.
I'm going to let you keep going, but I have a question for you. How did students react to you coming to school like that? Because, right, bullying is so big in school. I know that you're a little bit older, so I don't know if bullying was still such a big deal like it is now.
I'm going to tell you that I have the bestest friends ever. The people that I grew up with protected me a lot.
That's awesome.
And I want to tell anybody who's a friend of somebody who's gay, bisexual, transgender, whatever they are, if you support them, that's all we need. Like that is the greatest part of my life is my friends. Because if it wasn't for them accepting me, I think that other people around me wouldn't have accepted me as much.
Got it.
But I was a different kind of person. Like I didn't really let things like that,
bother you?
Bother me. I actually had a real good friend that I dated at a younger age. Like,
wow.
we didn't really date because he would come knock on my
y'all
door.
liked each other kind of thing?
No, he liked me.
Oh, okay.
And I accepted because I was like, he wouldn't let me, he wouldn't let me say no.
Yeah.
But I would never open the door when he would come to my house. So I was like, no, dude, And so after not opening the doors for so long, he was like, all right, like
whatever. Yeah. I'm over you, girl.
I'm over you. Yeah. But he became a really good friend of mine. And at school, I remember there were some kids like right behind me that were like, calling me, I don't really like this word. It's dyke.
Oh, yeah.
I consider it to be a bad word.
Yeah.
Not everybody feels that way. I just do.
Yeah.
But they were calling me all kinds of names, and he comes out of nowhere and he's like, leave her alone. She's not a lesbian. Because, I was like, I had to be like, hey, I am. It's okay. I was like, it's okay. They're correct.
That's
I don't care
hilarious.
if they're calling me a lesbian because I am,
That's so funny.
So things like that, but I appreciate my friends. I mean, they helped me really go through that, My first crush was one of my good friends. And what I appreciate about her was that even though I was like weird and like writing her letters and things like that, she never rejected me.
That's great.
She actually accepted me and befriended me. And then we became like best friends. And so that crush became more of a friendship. And I'm grateful for that because she could have crushed my heart. You know, she could have been like, I'm not gay. Or been ugly, but...
Or maybe she knew deep down inside that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just need to be there for my friend. Versus,
I don't know.
like,
I don't know if that's how she felt, but I will tell you this, that she's a very beautiful person for that because, like I said, she could have been ugly to me.
Yeah, for sure.
It could have been way worse. I could have been scarred for life or something. And I think that people like that were placed in my life, for a reason, you know, and I'm grateful.
Wow, that's amazing. So then you had a friend who knew your sister at church and told her you had a girlfriend.
Yeah, and so my sister flipped and called my mom. And so I got home, and I'm not going to tell you I was a good kid, I was like a bad kid. So I was good and bad, but, I wasn't that bad. But anyways, I come home, and my mom's like, we need to talk. I was like, what did I do?
Yeah.
I'm going through my head, like thinking, what did I do? Like, did she find my weed? Or, like, what, what is it that she wants to talk to me about? And she's like, this happened, and I want to know, are you gay? Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm not any of those things. I had fear in my heart. I had fear of rejection. I had fear of losing my mom, losing my sibling, losing my grandparents, being a disappointment, just fear of everything. I was living a life at school where everybody knew, but at home,
it still wasn't.
It was and at school, it wasn't like I was like, hey guys, I'm gay.
Yeah.
I'm a lesbian. I'm a butch. I wasn't like that. I mean,
imagine wearing a sign.
I mean, people do that now, but
You want to say, hi, my name is, like, hi, I'm gay.
right? Hey, I'm gay,
Jeez.
But, it was one of those things like I was just being me.
Yeah.
I was just existing. I was doing what I wanted. And my mom never objected of me buying boy clothes or anything. So, I mean, I feel like she knew.
Yeah.
So her asking me the question was kind of like, do you really need to ask me?
Yeah.
Do we have to have the conversation? I know you know.
Yeah.
But fear came into me. And at that moment, I was just like, no, I'm not. It wasn't until she broke it down to me and she was like, look, I'm going to love you no matter what. You could kill somebody right now and you're still going to be my kid. She put it in that frame and with tears in my eyes and just this like, I had to hold, get all this courage and just say, yes.
And I bet it felt so good. Like you were finally like not keeping a secret anymore to where you felt like, geez, now I can just be myself like, everywhere at any time.
Like now I can say, hey, I'm a butch lesbian, but even then, You know, like I said, I didn't know what transgender was. I was a butch lesbian, but there was still like a little something more that I didn't understand about myself at that time. I just knew that that's what I could identify at the time.
So then you continue to live life as a lesbian, and then that's just what you considered yourself. Then
I met somebody who was transgender. Whenever I was maybe 16, 17, I don't know. I get lost in the time thing. You know, so many things happen. But I met somebody that was transgender, and I believe his name was Jesse. I don't know. I don't remember exactly. But when I met him, my mind was blown. Like, my eyes opened, and I was like, just like that moment I had watching, you know, Rosie O'Donnell. Not Rosie O'Donnell.
I know who you're talking about. Roseanne.
Is it Roseanne? No, man.
It is Rosie O'Donnell. Then, if that's who you're talking about.
Is it Rosie O'Donnell? She had a talk. Anyways.
Yeah,
she had a talk show.
Yeah. It's Rosie O'Donnell, right? The one that's she's a butch. She's lesbian.
Is she?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It is Rosie O'Donnell.
I am right.
Yeah.
And you know, I had that moment that's what's missing.
Because you know what always, when the word transgender, I first heard it and I used to think, well, what's the difference between a transgender and a transvestite?
Right.
I never knew the difference because, okay, so when you're still having to transition, and then men that dress as females are also dressing as what they feel. So I just kind of felt like, it's just this one name? Like, why is there two names? Like, I never understood it. It wasn't until way later that it was like, well, they don't want to change their appearance.
Their
they still want
sexuality.
They still want to look like a man when they want to look like a man, and they want to look like a female when it's time to perform or, you know, whatever.
Like
an art to them. Yeah. And I was like, got it. A transgender actually wants to change their entire body. They take, I guess, hormone therapy to definitely start having the facial hair, the voice, and everything. When I really got more interested was when they did a show on TLC about the little girl, Jazz, I think it's her name. Have you guys heard about that?
That's Cher's son.
No, Jazz.
Oh, Jazz.
Jazz. Okay. And so she's actually right here from Pearland, Texas.
Oh, wow.
And she transitioned from a boy to a girl. And she showed her entire journey. So she's young though. She's in high school. And so a lot of the things that she dealt with on the show, again, you know, it's a show, so you don't really know how. I'm not saying they're lying and they're not just doing it for ratings, right? But, you know, a lot of it was like, she was fine. If you saw her, you would never know that was a boy before. Never, nothing. I mean, her features were like just very feminine and everything. I don't know if it's because she started so young to where she, you know, your body's still changing around those ages. So I guess, I don't know if that's the reason why. But one of the things, her brothers were super accepting too. It was wonderful to see. It was almost like, I felt like that's great that they're showing a united family where maybe as there's parents out there who are not just as accepting. And in my personal opinion, I think that it's easier said than done, right? I always said that if my child ever came to me and said they were gay, whatever it was, I would rather, I'm not saying I'm going to instantly be like, that's cool, that's what's up, right? But I mean, I feel like it's going to be a process as a mother, but I also feel like I would be like, you're already going to have to struggle with the world treating you a certain way. Can you imagine your parent also being the one treating you like that? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So it's like, I felt like this is probably a good show for parents who are still struggling to accept their child being whatever it is that they want to be, you know, and they can actually see that, you know, it's okay. On the flip side, I'm going to ask you this question. So the controversy right now is that you should basically not allow your child to, like, if your child instantly starts to play with boy toys, then you should instantly start talking to your pediatrician about turning them into boys. That's the world we're in right now. Rob, have we not seen so much of it? I trip out on it because I honestly have never seen so much debate about it as if like it's a disease. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how about we all just kind of sit down and just really analyze this? Like if a boy or girl is 2 years old, and let's just hypothetically say she has nothing but brothers, she's going to probably play with both toys. But if her brothers are there, and her brother said, no, I'm not going to play with your Barbies, but you can play with
my
whatever, you know what I'm saying? So more than likely, but you can't make that decision for a child at 3 or 4. Actually, it was on Joe Rogan where they had it. He had a doctor on there who wrote a book, who basically she got a lot of shit for it. They were trying to counsel her and everything. But basically there are females out there who went through the transition to becoming male, right? And it was the parents who pushed it on them because they saw that they were kind of boyish. They liked kind of like the boy sports. So they just assumed and made the decision for them. This lady was upset. Her story alone was upset because they fed her all these hormones to transition,
right,
and she wanted to have a child, and now she can't have a child.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So she was pissed at her parents to where she did the whole divorcing from the parents where she didn't want nothing to do with them, blah, blah, blah. So this lady's, I guess, argument is like, you can't make that decision for a child at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're still figuring themselves out at that time. And how do you feel about that?
I think that's true for me. I mean, it took me a long time to get to know myself, and that's just my process. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, kids nowadays, you know, I feel like they come out and they're like, I know, but I feel like, I mean, that's how I feel, you know. For me, it was a process. I had even though I knew that's when I found out that's what I wanted to do, I put it in the back of my head because I was like, it was already hard coming out lesbian, you know, and even though my family accepted me, you know, you have your trials and tribulations with that. It was a process for them, you know, and I was like, now I'm gonna come out as transgender.
Yeah.
You know, like, damn, what am I gonna do? You know, like, what am I gonna do to my family? That took me a process, but I think that it is important to let your child, let them be who they're gonna develop to be,
right?
You know, now if along the process they're consistent with it, you know, I'm not telling you not to believe them, you know, or, you know, dismiss what they say, but yeah, make sure that it is a decision that they're making and that they're, you know, in all senses aware of.
Sure.
Have them speak to a therapist. I will tell you, even though I was certain about my decision, I went to a therapist just to make sure that my mind, like, everything was right.
I heard that doctors recommend it anyway before you go through the transition, right? That's what I was reading.
It's not necessity. Like, you don't have to, you know, but it is recommended. And in some occasions, I'm not sure if certain states, like, you have to go through the therapist process, and then the therapist does the recommendation, and then you're allowed to go. I don't know how each state works.
Sure.
Here, you don't have to. Like, that I know of here in Texas, you don't have to go to a therapist. I chose to just because I'm 35. I think about things, you know, I think about how it's going to affect my family. Before I definitely made an ultimate decision, you know, I thought about everything. Because everything that you do is energy, right? Everything that you do, every decision that you make is going to affect everybody around you.
Sure.
You know, it affected you, you know, in a sense, because it brought up questions you want to know. It affects my nephew, my niece, my sister, my brother, my mother, everybody. I'm not saying everybody has to be like me. You know, they're not, you know, and it's not necessarily that I had to, you know, put that on the back burner for them, right? It just, that's how I process things. You know, that's how I took so long.
Sure.
I didn't want to disappoint my nephew. You know, my nephew's 22 now. Yeah. You know, and when I came to him with it, he was like, stop worrying about everybody else.
Yeah. Wow.
Like I said, that's kind of old school mentality.
And I think a lot of people, I think more is the older Hispanic generation that are still kind of like that. Because I hadn't heard this word in a long time, but my babysitter the other day said, no, hombre, do you speak Spanish?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. She goes, mi sobrina, la que vive en Mexico, es malflora or something. And I was like, oh my God, I hadn't heard that in forever. Like, which means a butch lesbian. That's what
Right.
they. And I was like,
I don't think I've ever heard that word.
oh yeah, I had, but
I've
it's
heard
been like
marimacha.
marimacha too, but Flora, and I was just like, I've heard my grandma say it before about somebody, so that's the only. And when I heard it again, it was like, whoa, that's how I knew she was old school, because you know what I'm saying?
She is very old school.
Yeah, my babysitter's super old school. You know, she's open. Like she'll be cool with you. She doesn't like.
Yeah,
She's not like gonna be weird, but she'll tell you. She'll say stuff like, "No, hombre, esa le gusta a las mujeres." Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
She'll
yeah.
be
She's so
like,
direct, it's
she's so,
hilarious.
yeah. She has like no filter, and so you know, so she's like that. And I just remember thinking, gosh. It's so weird how cultures are, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we're just like, we're so...
That has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I think so too, because you know we're looked at as, especially in I feel like, I'm not saying Hispanics are the only ones that are family oriented, but we're so family oriented to where it's like mom, dad, children, you have grandchildren, you have, you know, you get together, you have you know what I'm saying? It's like unity, and so the minute you kind of go out of that, it's like, oh, es que
Mira esta.
yeah.
Mira esta.
That's exactly what they say.
Mira este. You know, like.
And growing up, I was raised. I told this to my friend the other day. He's gay, and I remember him saying, we were talking about disagreeing and agreeing about politics, and I said, I disagree because I was raised very religious, and I just remembered. I don't really know how I knew this, but I remember sitting at church and they talking about how I was raised Pentecostal, so that should I don't know if you know, but they're pretty strict, and you know. I remember them saying that they were gay people went to hell. And I just remember thinking, okay, you're a pastor. You're not God. I'm like, who are you to decide if a gay person goes to hell?
Yeah.
Or
that
que
is
tienen
the
un
struggle.
demonio. Like, and we need to pray for that demon in you.
Demonio.
Yeah. And I was just like, wow. I was like, I just remember, I honestly think I was like 9 or 10. And isn't it crazy that you're that little, but you understand that that's like such a, such a judgmental thing to say. And
You were self-aware at 9.
Yeah, I was so like,
I'll tell you, when I was 9, I was like, man, I can't wait to ride my bike.
no, well, I was like so mature because I'm the oldest. So, you know, all the responsibilities on the oldest child. And, you know, so it was like I had to sit in the grown-up service. I didn't get to go to the children's
you know,
service.
and I can tell you as a religious person, that is hard.
Yeah.
Besides bearing the weight of worrying about your family, think about like, man, I'm going to go to hell. And that's constantly in your head. I made peace with that, and God helped me with that. But my experience with that was very hard.
Yeah.
If there's anything I struggled with that, it was with my religion because I love God.
So are you Catholic or are you just
My family is Catholic,
Okay.
but I chose Christianity because that's the way I understood the Word of God. And that was the struggle between me and my sister. You know, she's watching her kid sister becoming this person that not necessarily she understands. On top of that, she has to worry about this person probably going to hell, you know, and she's trying to save me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm saved.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, it was struggle and praying to God. You know, I would listen to Kirk Franklin, whoever knows who Kirk Franklin is, you know, he goes hard, you know, so I would worship God in my room, turn up that Kirk Franklin and, you know, pray. And literally I would lift up my hands and pray unto God and put, you know, I look crazy like, the Joker, you know, putting, I like lipstick. Please, God, you know, I mean, I looked like I was desperate.
Yeah.
I was desperate, like I mean, I didn't want anything else but the love of God.
Yeah.
In that moment, and I would be like, God, please, Lord, God, whatever you want me to be, I want to be.
Yeah.
If I'm not supposed to be gay or whatever I am, that I still don't know what I am, you know, please, Lord, take it away.
Yeah.
Take it from me.
Yeah.
You know, I rebuke it in Jesus' name. You know, I rebuke it. I want to be with you.
Yeah.
I want to be straight. I want to have the kids.
Yeah.
I want to clean the house, cook. I still do that, but, you know, just as a guy.
Yeah.
You know, but I was just like desperate and I cried, you know, like it was just one of those things. I would dress like a girl.
Yeah.
like I would try, you know, and it was just like, I can't.
Did you
stand
find
this.
yourself trying to look for signs around you, like?
You know, and I'm gonna tell you that my sign, I don't want to get preachy or whatever, but I went to a Christian concert, in that Christian concert, I was praising God with my sister, and I felt the Holy Spirit, and if anybody knows about the Bible or you're religious, you know that's like the love of God, like the ultimate experience you could have. The closest thing that you're going to get to God. And I spoke in tongues, which we talk about it being the language of love. You don't necessarily understand what you're saying.
I would always try when it would happen at church and people would be
You're
praying.
like, oh my God.
And I was like, I think I
Touch me, I
understood that
want
word.
it.
You gotta remember, my dad was the co-pastor of our church.
I
My
get
mom
it.
was the secretary of my church. We were in church all the time. So growing up,
Yeah.
I saw people feel the Holy Spirit. I saw people speaking in
I
tongues.
never thought I was deserving of it.
Wow.
I never thought that would happen to me because,
I still don't think it'll happen to me.
I just...
You have to be. I think that when you feel that, it's because you're just very connected.
And you're
You're just like in a weird, I don't even want to use the word weird. You're just kind of in a different zone.
You're focused.
Yeah, you're so focused. It's almost like meditation, to be honest with you, because you're like having a conversation with God, which only you and him understand. That's what how my dad explained it to me, because I remember asking him, watching him speak in tongues, and I just asked him, like, what are you saying? He's like, I don't really know, but I know that I'm talking to God.
I think of it like a flow state with athletes. When they get in that flow state and they're dominating at their sport, it's like, oh, they're in the flow state. Like, that's the religious flow state.
Yeah. I guess that's a great way to put it. Yeah.
And it was great, and just the feeling that came over me was just like so much. Like I felt like I was gonna explode. And I felt love. When I got out of there, the message that I got was like, I created you as you are. And it does not matter what anybody else says. You're mine, and you're meant to be the way that you are and who you are. And I love you. After that, I accepted myself.
That was your sign. That was your sign.
That was it for me.
I got to ask, you ever done mushrooms?
No.
Okay, just curious.
No.
Because Rob's going to tell you that's probably his experience. That was how he
Yep,
felt.
that was my godly experience. That was love.
Hey, you get there how you get there,
That's cool.
I've never tried them, but yeah, man, that was my religious experience, and there's nothing that you could tell me right now. Like, you could throw any verse at me, like that you can think of that, says differently. That feeling, that was the word.
Yeah.
That's the closest thing that you could get to God.
And I just think
that's what I trust.
Yeah, and I also think like they talked about this at church the other day, which is weird, and because the pastor was saying if what is it, Rob? Freedom of religion, if that gets kind of taken away, he was saying that now he would be required to marry gay couples regardless of how he felt religiously, right? Because religiously, it's like he said, he's like, I welcome gay people. I welcome anybody into my church. But he feels like he won't marry them, right? Because he feels that's kind of like you and God, that's y'all's deal. I'm not here to judge you. I'll accept you in my church. I'll preach the word of God. Whatever. I also go to a Baptist church, which is pretty close to, the Pentecostal kind of teachings, but it's not as strict. So I needed something that still had my stuff, but it was not as strict because my religion was way too strict.
Yeah, you couldn't go to like Jehovah's Witness from there,
Yeah, I couldn't do Jehovah's Witness, but you know what I'm saying? It was like, our religion is like, don't cut your hair. You can't wear makeup, the long skirts. My parents never made us do that because my parents were always a little bit more open in that sense. They kind of felt like you're coming to the house of the Lord, so you should dress like you are your Sunday best. You know what I'm saying? It's like you shouldn't wear come to church, while other people see it as like, well, what does my clothes have to do with my relationship with God? So I understand both point of views, but my parents always thought it's like, you come to the house of the Lord, you dress up to go to the club, you dress up to go to a party, you dress up to so you're coming to see the Lord, you're coming to visit him at his house, you need to dress up. So my parents never did the long skirts on us. My mom's a hairdresser, for heaven's sake, so she would always get criticized because she always kept, in the 80s, acrylics weren't in. So it was her nails, long and red, always painted red. She dyed her hair blonde. So she was like the outcast. Everybody else at church wore either a bun with long hair, long skirts, I
actually dated somebody who was in I don't know if it's the same religion, but a similar religion. Yeah. What the crazy was, she was the pastor's daughter, and that was very challenging.
Yeah, I did the same thing in high school.
Yeah.
Real talk.
So when the pastor said that, what I liked about him was he said, I welcome anybody, but he felt like as a pastor, he couldn't marry to, a lesbian couple or whatever, because he felt like, that's against what he believes or whatever. And I can respect that, right? And I also can respect the fact that he's at least still welcoming. Most churches don't, a lot of the times they won't welcome like a gay couple or a gay person, because I remember at our church, this lady used to come in who dressed very butch-like, right? And they used to always ask her why she never, like she had a boy haircut. And I just I don't know again how I knew that. I was like, I just think she wants to be a boy. But I didn't understand that there was a thing about lesbian or whatever, or a butch lesbian. I just felt like, well, she wants to be a boy. Can y'all just let her? You got to remember, I also grew up playing video games, which my mom thought.
Weren't you very tomboyish, you said, growing up?
I was very tomboyish. I loved playing outside. I loved riding my bike. I loved playing hula hoop war. And you know what I'm saying? I mean, I liked dolls too. They were cool. But to me, they weren't as fun as going to ride my bike, you know?
And you know what I was going to say is that a lot of females don't necessarily feel like the outline what people describe what a female should be. I feel like females are strong. Mm-hmm. Females have characteristics that are, very dominant. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to identify as a male.
Sure, exactly. And that was me. I mean, I used to trade video games with this boy named Jerry that lived in my, so for me, it was like, I didn't see nothing like abnormal if that's how she wanted to dress. Like, to me, I don't know why I knew that, but I guess because I also knew that I didn't really like everything. Like, I liked the ice cream bar because she made real ice cream. You see what I'm saying? But it was like legit texture. Like, I got to touch it. But me doing this with the Barbies, like playing, like that was not like, it was boring.
Yeah,
to me.
When I had Barbies, I'd shave their head bald and name them Dave or like Johnny.
That's hilarious.
Or something like that.
But my mom's very feminine, so my mom used to be like, don't let her play outside, too.
Like, you will not catch my mom. Like, she could go to the grocery store and she's all like dressed up.
That's my mom.
With heels, and she's all like very, very femme.
Yeah.
That's why I asked her. I was like, "Did you teach me how to be?" Like, no, dude. If I had the most like femme mom ever,
that's
what I mean.
Like,
it wasn't like I learned it. Yeah. It was just how I was.
And how do you feel about people saying that they feel like society is now teaching to be gay or to be lesbian?
I disagree with that. I think that society is being informative. Mm-hmm. I think that if I would have had the information that there is now back then, I think I would have known faster. Mm-hmm. I would have been like, yes, I'm transgender, everybody.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that information. I didn't even know that there was procedures that you could get or hormones that you could inject or, I didn't know any of that. It was this one person I met. And then after that, I still didn't have enough information. Wow. And I didn't have the courage to go further than that either at the time.
Were you scared? Did you feel like a little bit of fear in there? Like,
definitely, you have fear of maybe it's too expensive or maybe you're gonna like morph into something that, I did. That was my fear. That's not how everybody, things you react differently to things. You know, every human is different. Sometimes you can't go through the hormone therapy because you might have health issues. You know, it's very important for you to go get checked out.
I gotta ask,
Definitely.
what about the climate of people like that are like non-binary, like gender fluid kind of people that don't actually say they're a guy or a girl? They kind of
That I know of, I can't speak for them, right? Because I'm not
Yeah.
them, but I know that some of them will choose to, you know, transition, but still be binary.
okay.
I also know males, you know, transgender males who you know, go through the process and are bisexual or are gay. So that there is that, you know what I mean? But they identify as a male. So it's you know, it's
Wait,
just
slow down.
Yeah, I gotta go back in my head
Hold on,
too.
yeah, I'm like
so you
trying
know
to put it-
transgender males,
Yeah.
who will decide to
go through the process, and they're a transgender male, but they are gay. They are a transgender, gay transgender male, and they will date men
So they'll date men as a man.
as a man.
But they're really a female, though, right? The body
Well, they
part.
were
They were.
born a female.
A female.
Okay.
But they transitioned.
to a male. But go see. That's the part that was always.
That's how it originated,
Yeah,
isn't
that's
it?
how this originated. Because I was telling Rob, I was like, you know, I think before I start like judging, because I think naturally we kind of do, right?
Yeah, I think it's a human thing
yeah,
to do.
before I start judging, like, wait, you can't be a straight male because you still have the female body part. Wait, explain it to me. And that's why I was like, yes. I always tell Connie she's got the hookup because I ask Connie for anything. I'm like, Connie, I'm looking for somebody on my podcast to come talk about relationships. I got
got
person.
it.
Yeah. And she already sent it to me. Like the
That blogger life.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then I'm like, hey, I got it. And then I was like, when I saw this, she's like, please go watch my cousin's interview. And I was like, God damn it, Connie. I was like,
You know
everybody. I was like, this is I wanted to talk about this because I feel like it's so much more common nowadays to where it's so hard to understand. Like what Rob just right now, I had to ask you to
Right.
hold on. I don't understand
Let's connect the dots.
Yeah,
Let's
let me
connect.
connect it.
You know, and I think that one of the things like is misconstrued is like that I heard you comment is like, well, you still have the female parts, right? Mm-hmm. I think that you know, if I'm telling you, you know,
Yeah.
like I'm a male. I think that's what you have, like what I would like people to respect.
Right.
Is, you know what? It doesn't matter what body parts I have. I identify as
as a male. Got it.
And that's what I want people
So because you identify as a male and you're married to a female, that's why it makes it a straight male.
So I identify as a transgender cis male, which is another way of saying straight male.
Okay, cis.
That's a medical term, I think.
Well, no,
Yeah.
that's good to know. We
Yeah,
need to know that.
you hear
before.
cisgender a lot online. You know, a lot of people
I
that are
had never
attacking
heard of
straight
that.
white men. You cisgendered son of a bitch.
Oh, I see.
That's funny.
Okay, got it. So that makes sense.
All right, another question real quick. In your immediate circle, how's the pronoun conversation go? Or do you feel a lot of people are like him, her, you know, he,
Okay, I
she,
think
he,
it's
they?
easier when I meet somebody new. It's like, hey, my name is Valentine, you know, or Valentine, you know, Val. And, you know, they see a little facial hair. And then a lot of people just know that I'm a male. You know, when it comes to people who I grew up with, that's where it gets a little bit tricky, you know? And that's where I think that also anybody who is a new generation, you know, you have to be patient with your people, man. It's going to take them time. Think about it. Like my cousin Connie, she grew up with her cousin Evelyn. Her entire life, I was her little cousin Eve.
But she knew that you were lesbian, though,
Yeah,
right? So
definitely.
she
Everybody
understood
knew,
that.
Yeah, she
okay.
understood that
Yeah,
part
yeah.
of me. But I don't think they quite they didn't know. I don't think they knew. Like one of the comments my male cousin said was like, I didn't know if you were going to go there. You know, like if you were ever going to be transgender, you know, or if you were just going to be a butch lesbian, you know? And I was like, yeah, you know, I mean, it wasn't like it was out of this world for them. But at the same time, it was like, you know, I didn't come out like that. You know what I mean? So, and then you gotta let people process that. Like my mom, right? She had a little girl. I was in her body, you know, and then she's old school, you know, like I have to allow my people to have their own process.
Yeah.
You have to be patient. You have to be patient, you know, like any other people, you know, it's kind of like, hey, this is who I am. But my people, like, I'm just like, yo, like my nephew's like, what do you want me to call you? I was like, dude, you're my nephew. You're like my kid, right? And when I think about kids, it's like, yes, you could teach them things, but I'm also, if my nephew decides to continue to call me tia, I'm not gonna scold him for that. Or my little niece, right?
Yeah.
Like my little niece is like 11, 10, right?
Yeah.
So she still calls me Tia Eve. I'm not gonna be like, don't call me that.
Yeah.
You know?
But when she hits 18, you better get it straight.
Not even. I think that kids out of everybody are the most understanding. Like, they get it. They get it faster than the older people. You know why? Because we've lived life, right?
Yeah.
We've gone through these processes. The society has already molded us to think a certain way, or we're still trying to understand things, but we still have, like, I will tell you, I'm a transgender man, but my mind is still kind of like, I'm still catching up. That's why I said, you know, I'm sorry if I'm not, you know, saying things correctly, or there's something that is not educational that you want to correct me. I'm still learning, because in my mind, I still kind of have like the mentality that you have.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's certain things that confuse me too sometimes. You know, but I'm getting there because of how I grew up.
Okay, so real quick, going back to that. So obviously, do you get mad if your mom says mija? Or
No.
no, you're fine with it.
No, I mean, I'm like, you know.
Or do you say
it's
ma?
Look, I'm gonna tell you this. It's so funny because before I came out, she would be like, "Hey, papi," I mean, mommy. You know, and I'll be like, "Okay, now you're getting it right." You know, she used to say papi or mijo all the time, and now that I came out, she's like, "Mommy, mija," like all the female pronouns, and I'm just like, really, you know. But like I said, I'm not like mom, you know, or
At least she's not like,
anything
oye,
that.
tú.
Exactly. You know, I mean, like I said, you gotta let your people have that process, man. Like, they live with this person, especially me. You know, I'm 35 years old. Think about it. If you knew me 35 years, wouldn't that be hard for you to call me a different name, to call me a different pronoun?
Yeah.
I have to be patient.
Well,
with my people.
because when Connie sent me your contact info, she said, I haven't changed her name on my, she said, I haven't changed his name on my contact list. It still says Eve. She's like, so I'm going to change it, but his name is Valentine. I was like, got it. So I have you locked in as Valentine. I didn't put Eve, right? Even though she sent it to me as Eve. So I was like, got it, you know? Walk us through a little bit through right after, like, you knew, you talked to your parents, your mom, everybody, your family accepted you as a lesbian. So you were lesbian from the time that you spoke to your mom all the way.
I was before that, right? Like, remember, I came out when I was, I not officially came out, but I essentially came out when I was in 7th grade.
Right.
Cut the hair, had my, you know.
Yeah.
That was the Roseanne
dickies,
watching
you know.
Roseanne, right? As a kid?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So, you know what I mean? I was already out, but it wasn't verbally out, right?
So when did you legit start dating someone seriously to where now this person is your wife?
Right. Okay. So I've had multiple serious relationships.
Sure.
I think the goal is always when you date
course,
somebody, you
is
know,
to
that
marry.
you want a life and marry.
We just
you
had
know?
that. That was my last podcast,
Yep.
Val. We talked about
You know,
marriage and kids.
We think about that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the other thing that confirmed to me. You know, when I was a kid, you know, I imagined getting married, but I wasn't in a dress. I was the guy.
Yeah.
When I watched the movies, I was the guy.
Yeah.
I was the beast.
Yeah.
I was Aladdin. You know what I mean? You know, that's who I was. You know, like, that's who I was like, man, I can't wait to find that princess.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Although not all of them were princesses, but you know, you think about things like that. And that's what you want in your life. You want kids too. You know, I didn't want to have kids myself.
But your partner, you wanted the person
I want
you
my
were with.
partner to have kids, you know. So I dated, and my wife now, who I'm very thankful for, who actually helped me, you know, unveil the cover that I had put in my me being transgender. You know, she's the one that would ask me like, "Hey, are you transgender?" You know, and I'll be like that same moment I had with my mom. No, don't talk to me. I don't want to talk about it. You know, like, that's not, I had put it in the back of my head.
How did she feel though? Because technically she dated she was dating you because you were a female.
Right. My wife is definitely a lesbian. Yeah, for sure. She identifies as a lesbian. I cannot speak too much about how she felt.
Sure.
You know, although she did help me come to this process and the realization of who I really am and something that I was hiding about myself, it was hard for her. Same thing, right? She lived with this person for 6, 7, 8 years, honey. I'm sorry, hold on. Let me see the date on my ring.
That's hilarious.
8 years, you know, or something like that. And then this person is telling you, hey, you know what? I think that I am transgender. Or I think I always have been, but I haven't had the courage to come out. You know, and you've helped me. And I think I'm actually going to do this.
Was it like for her, like, wait a minute, if I wanted to date a man, I'd date a man.
Right. I mean, it also kind of messes with her identity, right? Because she is a lesbian.
Right.
She's a proud woman.
Yeah.
She's part of the, you know, like feminist.
Yeah.
You know, well, I don't know if she considers herself feminist, but you know,
I know what you mean. Yeah,
she's a proud.
I like how you were about to use air quotes to the feminist movement.
I know.
Oh, that's funny.
You know, but you know, I don't. It is hard for her, you know, or it was, you know. I mean, like I said, you got to give your people time to process. And I knew this was terrifying for me because as coming out, I didn't know if I was going to lose her. How far would she go with me?
Because again, it's like you said, right? It's like, this is who you identified with. This is who you want to be. Same for her.
Right.
She identifies as a lesbian
and
female,
I have to respect it.
Right. So you already knew that could be something that was
I had
coming
to come
with.
to terms and accept the fact that my wife
could leave if
would
she
leave me.
Yeah.
Or that she needed time, right? What if she wanted to separate and she needed time to process?
Wow.
Or, you know, those are things that
was ballsy.
And, you know, and this is not just, you know, advice for, you know, transgender people who are married. I think this goes for anybody who's married. You have to accept the fact, you have to accept the consequences of your actions, right? And you also have to accept the fact that your partner, you have to allow them to feel. You have to allow them to yell. You know, you have to allow them to damn you, you know, or whatever. If you're doing something that is changing their entire world, whether it be you get a new job, whether, you know, this is a person who chose to live their life with you, you know, and you have to give them that respect.
Wow.
You have to.
So whenever you finally told her, this is what I'm doing, was she like, yes, go for it? Or was she more like,
No.
no?
My wife was scared.
Yeah.
My wife was scared. She didn't know what that process entailed. She didn't know what, you know, could happen, you know, how the hormones gonna affect me, you know, I mean, worst things, are you gonna die? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, my wife will go there, you know what I'm saying? Like, she didn't know how to feel about it too. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's a process.
So does that make her now a straight lesbian?
No.
Or does that even make sense? It's like not go together?
It's an oxymoron,
It's an
isn't it?
oxymoron, I think.
No.
So does she still say she's a lesbian?
Right. My wife still identifies as a lesbian, but she loves me.
Word. Wow.
She loves me as a human being.
No, she loves you for sure because
yeah.
she's going. I mean, technically,
She's going to a place in her heart, in her soul,
for sure,
to accept the fact that this person who she married, and I commend her for that, and I respect her for that, and I love her for that even more. I cannot have found somebody so strong to endure something like that, right? Because that's hard. Not everybody could do that.
Yep.
Not everybody could do that. Because I've had lesbian friends that look at their partner and they're like, if you do that, I'm gone.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Well, no, that was also very brave of you too, because that was a risk you were taking also of you know, it maybe a lot of your strength came from like, okay, I'm tired of like always like
I'm lying.
taking everybody's feelings in consideration.
Yes.
Like it's time for me
You're right.
to like feel like to be happy with me. You know what I'm saying? It's not fair that I'm always the one. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like maybe you feel like
It's time to flap your wings.
yeah, it's like, hey, wait a minute, like I love you and everything, but damn, I don't want to be trapped in this body that I don't really
Yeah.
identify with 100%. Like, okay, yeah, I identify with my body parts. I get it, but that's not who I mentally
Right.
identify with.
And
So
definitely
I want to fly.
perfect explanation. The words that you put it into took them out of my mouth. I mean, I definitely went there. I was just like, how much longer?
Yeah, I
I'm
bet.
35 years old.
Yeah,
And it's either now. I told myself it's either now or never. I'm not getting any younger.
yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
either now or never.
Wow.
And that's what I told myself.
Yeah, because that was a big risk because you could have lost the love of your life.
The love
you
of
know?
my life.
You know what I'm saying?
I could have possibly lost friendships, relationships, because it's one thing, right? Like, oh, okay, you're a lesbian, but woohoo,
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
gay pride,
Yeah,
and, let's go to the parade
Yeah.
and have some fun. But then now this person is literally changing physically. Physically, everything about them. Like sooner or later, when they turn around and look at me, my features are gonna be. I mean, I have facial hair.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's gonna be weird and then it's gonna be like if they accidentally say she, they're gonna be like she, where's she?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I'm kind of waiting for that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, I bet because it's got to be frustrating to not. I don't know.
I mean,
I'm
look
not,
in the
I'm
mi-
not that. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I obviously love who I am, so I'm happy. I accept me. I can't imagine feeling something else and having to be somebody else. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like feel
definitely.
something, and then I have to act or be a certain way when I'm really not feeling any of those vibes. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? I'm not
definitely.
really like. I don't really like relate. I don't. You know what I'm saying? And so. It still was pretty ballsy of you to like say, this is it. Like, I can't do it anymore. This is who I am. I love you, but I'm going to do it. And I hope that you can support me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And she obviously did.
Yeah.
When you finally started your process, did you feel like, what am I doing? Should I do this? Or were you like, I'm so
No,
ready. This is
man.
it.
I think when I got my first shot, or I was on my way to get my first shot, I did my therapy and and all that, and I was like, okay, I'm 100, like I'm sure, I mean, it was like I couldn't wait to do it. And then when I got there, I was a little nervous, but I promise you, when I got that first shot, it was just like, wow.
I've arrived.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like my mind went somewhere else. My wife was there. Connie was there partially, and then my wife, we went outside and it was like, I couldn't believe that I did it. I was so excited. And I just went into my wife's arms and I just cried like a baby.
Yeah.
Like I cried of like just
Relief, maybe. Like,
relief,
yeah.
joy. Like I'm finally going to start my
Yeah.
life, my real life,
Yeah,
I mean, of
yeah.
course I've lived a life, but as who I'm meant to be,
Yeah.
that's the feeling that I got. I was just like, wow, like I'm doing it,
So walk us through a little bit of the process for us, for myself, who doesn't know what it is or what it takes. I guess like, are you doing or have you done the removal of your breast?
Not yet. That is something that even if I wasn't doing the process, I've always talked about.
Okay.
That is something, and that's the funny thing, because it was like I always talked about removing my breast,
Okay.
regardless of me
the
transitioning
transitioning, okay.
or not. I was always gonna remove my breast.
Okay. But that you don't have to do that, or does the hormones do anything to breast? I don't even know.
No, they don't.
They don't?
It's body fat.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, I know.
If you work out really hardcore,
It goes up. Oh, no, I know. Trust me.
You'll lose them.
As a
I was
competitor.
a competitor. I was a bodybuilding competitor. I went from having a little bit to ant bites, legit. So yeah,
I need
know
that workout
exactly.
program,
Yeah.
by the way. So
I legit had nothing. It was like I need a lot of padding in this bathing suit.
I
please.
think if anything, God is so funny, because it's like, you're a lesbian, I'm gonna bless you
Yeah.
with breast, and it's like, or you're a transgender, I'm gonna bless you with breast, and it's like, no,
That's hilarious.
I envy people who have smaller or none,
Yeah.
or I'm just like, wow,
Yeah.
you guys are awesome. But yeah, that is a process, and the process that I'm gonna do is called masculoplasty. Sorry if I pronounced
Okay.
that wrong. It is a drain-free double incision top surgery with a free nipple graft from this doctor that I like and I follow her on Instagram. Her name is Dr. Gallagher, and I believe her first name is Siv, or it's pronounced Siv. So far, that is the best procedure that I would want to do. Like it says, it's drain free, so you don't have any tubes hanging out afterwards. The healing process is a little bit faster, and it's way like it gives you the look that you want.
So it's not technically like a breast reduction. It's like a whole removal.
It's a whole removal of your breast.
And is it like sewn at the bottom? Is that how that happens?
I have no idea yet, but if you look her up, she shows you.
Okay.
You know, there's like things that she shows on her Instagram, on her website, that you could get information on, and it shows you like how she removes the breast.
Is there anything that you have to do before you start the hormone process? Like anything you have to do, like physically, or is anything like medication or
so
anything?
The first thing that they're gonna recommend is do a blood work. You have to do a blood work because they want to make sure that your kidneys are working properly. You know, you have to make sure that you are in a healthy, you know, you have to be healthy, you know, so any of those things might, you know, affect if you're gonna be able to do the process.
Okay.
You know, or get hormone treatment.
Sure.
I definitely took it pretty serious, you know, and I'm still working on myself, guys. I'm trying to change my diet, you know, but I am Mexican, so tamales and pozole, you know, and all that stuff, tacos, you know, but, you know, you want to try to be as healthy as you can, even after.
Okay.
Because testosterone does affect you. You know what I mean? Like right now, I think I have high cholesterol because of it. I've never had high cholesterol.
Wow.
But it is predominant in men for them to have high cholesterol, and it's because of the testosterone. You know, so those are things, and they give you like this big list of risks that can happen.
What are some besides that?
You can have heart failure. You could
No shit.
Get cancer. You know, your kidneys could fail. And it's not all necessarily like that's what's going to happen or that is what happens.
That's just a precaution. Like
it is a
heads up.
It's a heads up, like
It's a
precaution.
disclaimer.
It's
It's like every medication on TV.
exactly. You may
Right.
die.
Yeah. Bloody
have
stool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
Every time I
exactly.
see those, I'm like,
you
oh,
want
like,
to talk to
shit.
your doctor.
Yeah.
You know?
Who's taking this
I
stuff?
was like, why would you take it if all
Yeah.
like you just scared everybody, whoever needs to take that
Yeah.
medication?
Right, exactly. So like I said, you want to make sure that you don't go to a back alley.
Yeah,
You know, and then
for
they're like,
sure.
I got this testosterone, take 7.7 milligrams. You know, like, no, you have a procedure. I started with 0.5, 0.05 or something like that. And now I'm at 0.4.
And how
0.4
long
or something like that.
how long do you have to go? How long is the process
I
for the
have to
hormone
do it for life.
for life?
That I know
No
of,
shit.
but I think it slows down, right? Like, so I think that like right now I do it weekly. I think at some point, whenever your testosterone level is at a good level, maybe you could kind of like,
So I guess it's like men,
Maybe
right? Like when
once-
men go
once,
through testosterone
Replacement therapy?
right?
Yeah.
Kind of works the same way. It starts to get low for men, so they take.
Some men, not
Some
all
men.
men, you know.
you'll get there. Midlife crisis.
Yeah, right.
Midlife crisis.
Not if I eat my red meat.
You're 31, Rob.
I know,
You don't
I know,
get
I
it.
know, I'm kidding.
But
Okay,
yeah,
so it's for
definitely.
life. No shit. Okay,
Yeah,
got
definitely.
it.
It's something that I'm gonna have to possibly do for the rest of my life. I have heard of some cases where like they've done it for so long and they don't take hormones anymore. Like they're there. So I'm not sure how true that is, but I'll let you know when I get
Yeah,
there.
right.
You know?
We'll do a follow-up.
We'll do a
episode.
follow up. And then, so how does that work? Once you do that, how does it legally work as far as like your name? How did your wife, when you told her I don't want to be, because she was calling you Evelyn before you decided to transition?
That was hard for her. She loves the name Evelyn. She loves everybody calling me Eve. And one of the things is that when I would introduce myself to people, right, I would be like, my name's Eve, and they'll be like, excuse me, what? I'll be like, Eve, like Adam and Eve, you know? It was like my favorite thing to say. It was like, I'm Eve, like the first woman that existed, you know, like it was awesome. I just, the reaction of people was amazing. But yeah, that was kind of hard for her, you know. She has this connection with Eve, and also she has Evelyn tatted on her right? So
Oh my God.
yeah. So now we have a little girl. Her name's gonna be Evelyn.
Oh.
Nah,
Damn.
we don't know
No,
about that.
oh.
No, but I think what I always tell her is, I know that's hard, you know, but I tell her that's great. Like, you have this memory of me, of who I was, you know, and you still have it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mind it, you know, like that she has Evelyn. I go, now you need to have Valentine. And she's like, no, I'm not doing that again. But, you know, it's, you know, the name is different. Besides, Evelyn used to be, it's an ancient name. It's a very old name. That's why I started liking it. And it used to be a male name. It wasn't a female name. Way back in the day.
I didn't know that. That's my cousin's middle name.
So I don't know if you guys know anything about the Rockefeller family, but one of the oldest guys, or one of the Rockefeller members, his name is Evelyn, and his name is Evelyn Rockefeller.
What?
Yeah,
I had no idea.
I didn't mind it as much, you know what I mean? But not everybody was gonna get that it was also a male name.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so it's kind of like when a guy's name's Courtney,
Yeah,
right? Like,
or Ashley.
Yeah, or Ashley, or, you know.
I remember the first time I heard a guy named Ashley, I was like, what? I was like,
That's
why'd
a
your mom
female.
name you that? It was like a girl name. He's like, no, it's not. It's a boy name. The girl's name. I guess when you're a boy, you spell it different than the way you spell it when it's a girl. And I didn't know that.
I think Courtney is the same way.
Same way, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's spelled different.
Yeah. Same with Sydney. You spell Sydney with
Yeah.
the Y is the male version. Sydney with an I think it's the male version. Sydney with the Y, it's the boy.
Yeah.
Something like
So
that. I don't
Jamie, there's a
really
couple
know.
names.
Yeah, it's a couple of names like
but
that.
see, a lot of things like that, right? Like, when you think about it, like,
Yeah.
back in the day, people were like transgender already.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, everybody had,
prepping us.
all the boys had girl names, and they
Yeah.
just became girl names. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like everything else, but
Does she still call you Evelyn sometimes? Does she
when she
se le
gets
sale?
mad,
Yeah.
when she gets mad, she's like, Evelyn, and I'm like,
Is that? But it's not something you want to erase from your life.
definitely,
right?
I'm not ashamed of the life that I've lived.
Yeah.
You know, I think Evelyn, that person or that part of me was amazing and is amazing. I think that it made who I am now. You know, I think you know, if it wasn't for that process or everything that I've done as Evelyn, I wouldn't be here, you know, confident, sure of myself, you know, and all the aspects that are me.
For sure. Yeah.
know?
How did you decide what your name was going to be?
So my name comes from a corrido. It's kind of like a Mexican country song, right? And it's called Valentine de la Sierra. And so what I liked about Valentine is that boy died for his people,
Yeah.
man. Like, he got killed. He didn't open up his word. I thought that was gangster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, yo, I want to be like Valentine. I'm loyal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I asked because my daughter's name is Valentina. So,
it's a beautiful name, and it has a lot of meaning to it.
I knew that it meant strong, but it's like she was actually, well, supposedly the name came from, they were like, I think it was like, I think the Zapatistas, like that's what they called them. They were the warrior girls that fought with him, and that were called Valentinas. So that's where the name comes from. And I had no idea. And I was like, that's funny because that totally fits Valentina. That totally fits my daughter. She's so like headstrong, and you know what I'm saying? It's her
that
personality, which is
character,
weird.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, her first name's Penelope, but we call her Valentina. So, but I thought it was kind of crazy that I was like, I didn't even know that's what it meant. I just liked it. I just always liked the way it sounded.
Yeah,
so.
and there's a lot of meaning behind his name. I mean, a lot. You know, when I looked it up, I've always liked Valentine. I always said if I had a son, I would name him Valentine and things like that. But when I looked up the name, and I was, you know, kind of like, that name just drew to me because I liked it. And I looked it up. And then, of course, you ask your mom, right?
Yeah.
Mom, if I was a boy, what would you have called
named
me? And she said something like Everett, Everardo, and then she put.
She likes the Eves, right?
And then
she likes those with the
and then she put Valentine, and I was like, "Yo,
No, what a coincidence.
There's my sign again.
I was like,
what?
yes, I was thinking about that name. That's my name. Thanks, Mom.
Wow.
Yeah.
How does the legal part go through that now? Now that do you have to be all the way transitioned before you can go to like go somewhere and say I am male now, or
Like your license and
like your
stuff?
license and stuff? When does
Right.
that
So I'm in
happen?
that process right now, which I do not like to do paperwork. So I had my other cousin,
Yes.
Jessica, do the process for me. So she submitted
Is
like
that a male thing, y'all? Because
I do not. I don't know,
Tough, man.
But I do
husband-
not like. Literally, I do not like to ask questions. So I'm like, babe, please call and ask for me. And if she doesn't do it, I go, mommy, please call.
Yeah.
You know, like
It's like that's
I
my
do not
husband.
like paperwork, any of that thing. I've always been like that. So there goes.
Yeah.
You know, I've been a voice, for a long time. But, I'm going through that process right now, and you basically fill out a petition, you send it in, and if they accept it, then right now I just mailed another part of the process to Austin, Texas, to the Texas Department of Safety. And on there it says, that I'm trying to change, changing my name from this name to this name and my gender on my birth certificate. After that process is, I think I have to go to court, or I have to wait to see what they tell me. And then there's also, like court fees that I have to pay because, they're processing all this stuff for me. And then there they'll be like, okay, good. Yes, you can be Valentine Terrazas.
And do you get a new birth certificate now?
So then I guess I get a paper, and I'm guessing because, I haven't been through the whole process. I'm halfway there, but I think they give me a paper, and with that paper, I go to the birth certificate place, and then, they give me my new birth certificate, and then I go to the DPS and get my new driver's license, which I can't wait.
Got it. Wow, that's a whole process.
And right now, I just did it actually this morning. I sent out what paperwork I had to do, so now I just have to wait.
And then that's why I said at the beginning, excuse my ignorance, because I'm here. I have you here because I want to learn. I want to understand, because I want to address anybody who is transgender by the correct, like label, which I know we're not supposed to be labeling people, but how sometimes you'll say something like, or they'll be like, no, I'm just transgender. They don't identify with
as anything.
Anything. It's just I
think
transgender.
It's important to ask, right? Like if you know or you see somebody who's different, right? You can, and you start to get to know them. I'm not assuming like anybody who you like. I don't assume people that come up to me and be like, "Yo, you're transgender, right?" Like, don't come up to me.
Yeah.
Don't say that.
Yeah.
But if you have doubts, like I've met other transgender males, and I've had my doubts. I don't know if they want to what they want to be called, and I say, "Hey, you use male pronouns?" Yeah, I use male pronouns. Okay, cool. You got to be cool and casual. You got to be like, all right, bro, that's what I'm going to call you.
Okay, understood.
Just ask. If you're uncertain, ask. I think it's more appreciated, right? Like you're trying to respect me as a person.
For sure.
And you're trying to, understand
yeah.
and be, not ignorant.
Exactly. It's exactly what I think it is. I really do think it's ignorance, and that's why I was like, it's so important for us to talk about it. But here's my ignorant question. So do you now go to a male restroom or a female restroom?
So that is hard, man. I am not gonna lie. Even I think I envy people who are just like, I'm gonna go to the guys' restroom. I stand there literally and I'm like, do I really have to go to the restroom? Like, how bad do I need to go?
Wow.
And I'm scared. I'm not gonna lie. I've gone to the guys' restroom where guys like, doing this thing, and I'm just like, and I have to go to the stall because it's only like one thing. And then I have to like sit there and like pretend I'm pooping or something, because I have to wait. Like I'm waiting. Like I don't want this guy to know that I'm sitting down.
Yeah.
I mean, and some people don't sit down. Some people, pee standing up anyways, even if they don't, I choose to sit, I don't like to get dirty or I don't, I choose to sit. So I'm sitting there and I'm just like, okay, maybe, I'm a toot a little bit. Maybe it'll scare him out, like, it's a whole process because in my mind, I'm thinking, oh my God, they're going to know, they're going to know. And then when I leave, they're going to beat me up or they're going to jump me, and whenever I go to a female restroom, is like I don't want people looking at me weird. I don't want to be looked at as a pervert or that I'm there to look at your genitals. I don't want to look at that. You know, you ain't fine, girl.
Yeah.
You know, like
You ain't the only girl.
I'm there to do my business.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to pee, guys.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, if I have to go number 2 really bad, that's all I want to go.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I'm not there to, you know, like look at anybody or holler at you or be a pervert or anything like that. It has nothing to do with that. I just need to use the restroom. I have bodily fluids too, man.
Yeah.
You know?
When do you think you're going to kind of come to terms? Do you think when you because if I saw you come into the girls' restroom, because I still feel like you still look feminine in some ways to me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I would just be like, oh, she's just a butch lesbian. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I'm going to tell you, when I went to the restroom, actually, it was at the place that we went to, Rob. What was that big yard place that we went to? Where it was the beer.
Oh, outside. Yeah. Fuck, it's by Eighth Wonder, right?
Yeah.
I forgot.
And it's funny because that's kind of
There's a pizzeria next to it.
It's catty corner. It's yeah.
It's Axelrad's.
No, not Axelrad.
It's like a 2-story
junkyard, or what's it called? The yard.
Yes, it's close to it.
Something like that. Anyway, it was crazy because
Truck yard.
There you go. A lesbian, a butch lesbian came in. To me, it was obvious, right? There's 2 girls standing over there putting on their lipstick, and they're like, I'm just like, God damn, man. Like, they're like, should he be in here? And she turns around and says, I'm a girl.
Yeah.
You know? Granted, she was dressed like a boy, had a boy haircut, but obviously she identified as a lesbian. So she turned around and said, I'm a girl. And I just remember thinking like, golly, like we can't even play it off a little bit. Like, just, you know, like I think they felt more like, what is this guy doing here? Because she looked like a boy, you know what I'm saying? Versus, oh, she may be a lesbian, right? Which I guess it's a question you can have, but to me, it was obvious to me. I don't know.
Yeah,
to me, because it's the structure of the female is still there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You could tell she was wearing a sports bra. You know what I'm saying? That flattened down the boobs, and so I get it where they were coming from, but it was like, just take a little bit of time and observe a little bit before you just kind of make the immediate judgment.
Not even that. Mind your own business.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, not even that. I mean, for me, it's one of those things where like, does it matter?
And some of us have problems with kids, little boys going into the restroom with their moms too. It's like, so what is the mom supposed to do? Go to the boys' I mean, I wouldn't let my boy go to the restroom by himself,
right?
I wouldn't. So I'd rather him go to the restroom with me until he's old enough to go by himself. Obviously,
or sucker punch somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
So I wouldn't do it. And I think I told you the story about when I went out of town and I saw I guess it's a non-gender restroom.
It's a
unisex restroom, and they had a boy. One side had a pant, and the other side had a dress.
I'm not gonna lie. When I see those signs, I feel relieved. Like, yes, I don't have to care. I just walk in, and I'm just.
And they're single stalls though, so they're just for. It's almost like a family. It's like a multi-family. It's like a family restroom, one of those. And so I told you I had posted that, and this lady just attacked me for it. They're like, that's because you don't have children. I didn't have children at the time. And then she's like, you don't get it. You don't know if it's a pervert going in there acting like a girl, but really he's there to check out little girls, you know what I'm saying? Or females, and they're a pervert. And then on the flip side, it was like, okay, I get it, but what if they're not also? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because there could be there could be pervert females too. I mean,
and that's happened, recently. You know what I mean? I think that is a common concern in general, right? Mm-hmm. And any situation in life that you live, if you're a parent, you're gonna have. I mean, shoot, I'm not a parent, you know what I mean? But I thought about my niece and my nephew and how my life was gonna affect them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But all BS society is we're not perverts. Mm-hmm. We're human beings, and you cannot relate psychopaths to transgender people or gay people or bisexual people or straight people. You know what I mean? That is a whole separate thing that you're talking about. It has nothing to do with being transgender. You know what I mean?
That
is a legitimate concern. I'm not saying like you should not worry about perverts. There is perverts out there. Worry about them. But do not generalize or don't talk about that situation and compare it to my situation because it's totally different.
Yeah,
because that's not who I am.
Well, look at you. You just said I'm even still kind of like uncomfortable going into the male restroom because I don't know like yet how I'm gonna be looked at or exactly.
I don't know that. You know what I mean? Do you you don't want to wake up in the morning and then go to have the best day of your life, right? And then you go to a restroom and somebody's like, "You freaking pervert," and I've had that happen to me.
Yeah.
And then I just hide in the stall.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna wait until they go away because I don't want to be attacked, man. I'm just trying to live my life.
Yeah.
I'm trying to stay out of your way.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm not here to make people uncomfortable. But I think God created us to make you guys uncomfortable and to challenge you in a sense.
Which is the reason why I felt like this conversation was so important, because I think we are challenged, and challenged in the sense of we need to understand. You know what I'm saying? We need to understand that this is this person's choice. This is the person they want to be. This is who they want to become. It's fine, like I told you, if you don't get it, but if you kind of like you don't have to agree with it, but at least if you can understand it, I think we'd be a little bit more open to the idea. It'd be more like, all right, that's what's up.
And I think that I'll even take it further than that. I think that, all I'm looking for from you guys or from anybody is respect and love. Respect me as a human being. I don't particularly need you to understand me.
Sure.
I don't. I don't need you to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't need you to understand how I feel because that only pertains to me, myself, and I. That only has to do with me. And how I'm living my life, that's what makes me happy.
For sure.
And if whatever makes you happy, that makes you happy.
Exactly.
And I respect that. You know what I mean? But just respect me and love me.
Yeah.
Embrace me.
Exactly.
As I would embrace anybody.
Let me ask you. You said you saw a therapist before, right? Or you had to, or you chose to?
I didn't have to. I choose to.
Is there anywhere in between or in the process where they maybe encourage you to continue seeing either a therapist or psychiatrist as far as like the transition goes, or no?
I think in general, everybody needs a therapist. You
are Connie's cousin for sure.
Yeah. I in general, I believe that I'm not the kind of person that ever thought I needed a therapist. Of course you go through things as your childhood that you kind of like, dang, maybe I should see somebody, but you overcome them. I consider myself a strong-minded person, a strong character, where things don't really, make me doubt myself.
I think the reason I asked too was because of the process of like, hormone, transition, that it might change characteristics in your thinking.
And so that was a concern, right? So like I said, I'm learning as well, and that was a concern of mine, and I think that's what like my older sister worried about, too. Like, you're gonna change, like you're not gonna be this sweet person. Guess what, guys? I'm still a sweet teddy bear.
Well, your heart's not going to change.
No, of course. Who you are and who you develop to be, that's definitely not going to change. I mean, I might not cry at every rom-com now. You know what I mean? Like,
these suck. I don't want to watch these anymore.
It might be like, whatever, but... Or, when something happens to a puppy, I might not feel like... Or I'll be like, man, that's sad. But certain things may change like that. But other than that, as far as being a good human being, that has not changed. That's not going to change at all.
I'm going to ask you for your point of view because I'm kind of weird about this, right? So I used to do like jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, and you know what I'm saying? So I think that as a female, you should fight another female, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I know where you're going with
that.
that.
So
I have an answer.
Yeah. So for me, a transgender female that went to male, I don't think they should fight another male. Like for me, I just kind of feel like, wait, I get it. I totally get it. They've transitioned and everything, but is it the same like strength? Same thing when a man transitions into a female. There is a division of MMA fighting that is going to accept a male that transitioned into female to fight females. And I don't think that's fair because I'm not saying there's not females strong enough to fight males. So before anybody thinks that, Cyborg is the perfect example. I think even males are afraid of Cyborg. I would be terrified if me and Pete got caught with her, and I'd be like, "Say, Pete, just let's just not fight her because she's whooping both of us. If we ain't got no kind of nothing with us, like she's beating us, So I'm not saying it's not possible for a female to be able to fight a male, but I just don't think it's fair. Like, I still feel like even though they're going through the transition of becoming a female, I still feel you have that different power. And same for the female who transitioned to male. I still think you have a different type of power.
Right.
Would you fight in the male division if you were a fighter?
Oh man, if I was a fighter, I would want to be treated like
a male. So you would want to be treated as a male. See, that's what he wants.
Put me in the lightweight, man.
Yeah. She wants to be. Granted, they are going to pair her up with her weight class. Obviously, all the same rules are going to pertain. But I just still feel like her strength is going to be of a man's, not of a female's.
I'll tell you this: working out, going through the hormones, I could feel the difference.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do like the same weights or whatever. I'm like, and then I'll get something that I definitely would never touch probably because I'm just like, and I'll go, holy crap! Like I do feel stronger. I'm not gonna lie. Working out is different now too.
What I guess it's like when bodybuilders take steroids,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Testosterone is all it is.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I mean, your
thing.
body does change. You know what I mean? It does change in that aspect. I think that skill is skill.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I am fairly confident. Like if a 6-foot guy who's like 250 pounds, I could take him down. But only because I played football for so long that I know how to take somebody down that big without even using all of my force.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the movie Mulan, The Philosopher. And in that movie, they use a quote or something saying about like how a grain of rice can move mountains or something like that. I know that's kind of cheesy, but even if we go into God, right? Like when he says, if you even had the ounce of faith as small as a sesame seed, you could move mountains.
Yeah. So
I don't particularly, I see where you're coming from, but I think skill is skill, and if you put your time into training and you put, that hardship, it's going to show whether the guy has the most strength and is stronger, or whatever, whoever he's, is it a female or?
It's he was a male transitioning to female. So it's a her, it's a she now.
Well, whoever she's facing, you know what I mean? It's going to show.
Yeah.
If the guy is slacking and he's like partying every night and he's not taking his fighting serious, right? It's going to show.
Yeah.
It's going to show.
Because the hormone treatment is different for males than it is for females, correct? Like a female transitioning to male versus a male turning into a female?
Well, yeah. For us, this hormone therapy is going to be testosterone, and the male they're getting estrogen.
Got it. So it would take their strength away, you think? No, I don't.
Maybe a little bit.
I don't know. Maybe if they work out, of course, it's like if you work out, like you said, you were a bodybuilder, it made you stronger.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a discipline for everybody, right?
And even I was a tiny person, and even then, the people would always leave comments say, "So disgusting, like you're so butch." I'd be like, oh my God. I was like, Jesus Christ. It was always that was always the negative comments was you look so butch. But I know I didn't. So I would always be like, you wouldn't even possibly dare take this challenge of doing this, transforming like this to your body. So I'm going to leave you alone.
That is a lot of discipline for sure.
I'm going to let you go ahead and call me whatever you want to call me. You know what I'm saying? But that's always my question, because whenever we know the owner of that what do you call it, organization, when he told us, I was like, oh my God, please don't ask me nothing about that, because I feel like, wait a minute, I don't think it's fair. Like, you know what I'm saying? But right now that you kind of explained it, you're like, well, no, I'd feel confident in fighting the male. It's like, oh, okay, well then, then I guess you could fight a male. Then
I put in the training and the hard work, and my confidence is there, and that's what I dedicated my life to. I wanna challenge my body. I wanna challenge myself, and be the best at that I could be. And what other way than to,
sure,
fight another guy?
Yeah. whenever like you apply for a job currently, I mean, I know you have your business, but hypothetically, right now, would you still have to put female?
Yeah, that's
Legally?
hard. That's hard. I appreciate the companies though that understand that
Okay.
there's different kind. Like I applied for HEB because HEB is awesome. That's my store.
I know, right? HEB sponsor us, please.
Yes, and I love HEB. And when I did an application for them, they said you put your legal name in, and then they have an option for your preferred name. And then also, I mean, I'm guessing if you are putting preferred name, and then obviously those female, Hispanic, whatever, those are optional. You don't have to answer
Sure.
those.
Yeah.
But you can if you want. But most companies don't have those options, and that's hard, especially like right now I'm going through that process of legally changing my name. But what if I can't, legally process my name?
So they can deny you?
I'm not. I don't know how it works.
Oh, okay.
So I'm assuming because I have to go through the process, they can be like, nope. You know what I mean? Like you can't change your name. So what if I can't? I have to live with this name, but then I have to live with the fact that you guys or whoever I work for isn't gonna be able to call me the name that I want. You know what I mean? Like that was a challenge.
Yeah.
That's a challenge because like when you have coworkers and you introduce yourself a certain way, and then you're going through the process and then they gotta,
Sure,
get on board.
sure.
And then everybody has their opinions, right? And then what if I start using the mail
For sure.
restroom at work? What are you gonna do? What's my
Yeah.
supervisor gonna do? Tell me no?
Well, I always feel like opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one, but they all stink. That's just how I
Yeah,
see it.
that's
Anytime
true.
somebody wants to give an opinion, even with anything, I always just see like, well, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one, but they all stink because we all think we're right? Everybody thinks no matter what you say, what he says, what I say, if I believe in something, it's my opinion and that's where I stand. Same thing for, you know what I'm saying? So I just always feel like, that's why I always just feel like whatever somebody wants to be, just let them be. If that's how they're
it's
happy.
awesome to have conversations.
Yeah.
Like I can honestly say conversation is the best thing. Like I could sit here.
Marissa, that's what she says.
You know,
Conversation
is the
rules the
best
nation is
thing.
what she says.
Yeah, because guess what? We don't have to agree on everything. If there's anything that I've learned in my relationship with my sister is at the end of the day, she may not agree with my lifestyle or agree with everything that I'm doing, but we love each other. Like somebody messes with my sister, I'm gonna go all in. Same thing with her. She's not gonna allow anything to harm me. But obviously, we have differences, and that's okay. It's okay not to agree. It's okay not to, have the same opinion. That's what makes us interesting.
For sure. And I don't want to keep you any longer because I know we've been at it for quite a bit, but I'm going to end with this and I want to ask you a question. When you and your wife decide to have children, will you ever bring up that you were female before, or you're just going to let your child know that you're a male, like just normal, like your child is growing up in a heterosexual household where
I think it's important to educate your children.
Yeah, so you are going to bring it up.
If the day that my child has questions about who I was as a child, I will explain to my child what it is. I do not want my child to grow up in a world where it's sheltered or ignorant
or lies, I guess.
or lies
Yeah.
or ignorant to the fact of what other human beings there is around us. I'm not saying like you have to tell your child to whatever, but I think that is important to let your child like there's these human beings in the world and that is okay.
It's funny you say that because when Mickey was little, I think she was like in the third grade, she had a classmate whose parents were lesbians, right? A lesbian couple. And I never forget, when I picked her up one day and she's like, "Oh, Soli." She's like, "You see her?" And I was like, "Uh-huh." She's like, "She has two moms like I do because I'm her stepmom, and then she's got a real mom." And she goes, "She has two moms like I do. Isn't that cool?" And I'm like, "No, I don't think it's I didn't know how to tell her. Like, it's not the same thing. Those are her parents. Like, those are her two moms are her parents. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's different. Like, me and your dad are together. Me and your mom are not together. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I didn't know how to explain it to her. And I just said, "Oh, that's cool, isn't it?" I didn't know how to like at that age. Cause what are you in third grade? Like 8, 9? No. 9?
Yeah, something like that.
Something
Yeah.
like that. You're little. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know how to tell her, like, no, that's different. They're in a like your mom and I are not in a relationship together. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Their moms are, but you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
she thought it was the coolest thing. Like, I think she felt now like, oh, somebody else has two moms. Like I
that's
do.
cool.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I do.
Funny.
Like
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she
And
goes,
you know
I
what?
told her that.
That's what's amazing about kids is that you don't necessarily have to give this grand explanation.
Yeah.
Like I feel like adults, you know, like when my sister, you know, felt like I was confusing my nephew, she was like, "You explain to my child, you know, what this is because you're confusing him." And I said, okay. My nephew came up to me and he was like, so why do you dress like a boy? I said, because that's what makes me comfortable. And he's like, well, why is your hair short? I go, you see that lady who has, because there's older ladies that have short hair.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you see that lady with short hair? She's a girl, right? And he's like, yeah. I go, this is just how short I like my hair. And he's like, okay, cool. Can we go play now?
Yeah.
Like kids are super simple. They don't need this extraordinary explanation.
Yeah.
You know, and
yeah, because she
that's
didn't.
just
I
how
just
it
told
is.
her that was cool. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
That's
You know,
how
so that
kids
was it.
are,
She's
man.
like, yeah. And I think for her, it was more like, oh, I know somebody now that has
Two moms,
you know. So I think that that's cool. But I didn't even go into it. I didn't explain it to her. I just told her, yeah, that's cool, right?
I think you have to allow them to ask the question
Yeah.
later on.
Yeah,
You know, like once
for
they
sure.
they understand more things. But that's what I love about kids because she didn't even think about it twice.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was like wow.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like-
To her, it was wonderful. It's like she finally met another person who had two moms. You know what I'm saying? But she caught me completely off guard when she told me that. She goes, "I told her I had two moms too," and so I think that they related because they thought that they had the same situation.
Dynamic.
Yeah, like they thought that she thought that her household was like her household. So I think,
But
that
it's
that's where they're-
wonderful how she connected with that person.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Like with that little other kid, because I'm sure other kids are probably like, oh, your mom's gay or something like that.
When she
and here's
got
another
older-
kid, who didn't care.
Yeah, when she
Didn't
got
see that
older,
like that.
she understood. I think probably because they went into sixth grade, I think is when it was. She's in seventh now, maybe fifth. She finally kind of understood. She said, her moms are married. I said, yeah. She goes, yeah. She goes, and you and my dad are married. I said, yeah. But that was the extent of it.
You're like, didn't have to explain that
Yeah,
one.
I know, exactly.
And
I
that's
was
what
like,
I'm saying. Like they'll realize it
yeah,
themselves.
it's crazy because
know what I
you're
mean?
exactly correct. It's like she on her own realized, like, wait a minute, it's not the same two moms like she has. My mom is my stepmom, and my real mom is my real mom. Stepmom's married to my dad, but they're married together. And I think the only reason why it was kind of an explanation was because I think her moms were getting married. And so she was going to go and be...
It got legalized.
Yeah. So she was going to go and be the flower girl. And they were going to do it a destination wedding. So they were leaving out of town. So she was going to miss a few days. And I guess they must have been having a conversation or whatever. And then she kind of told her. And that's when Mickey was like, oh, she's like, oh, yeah, her moms are getting married. And I was like, oh, that's cool. She's like, yeah, like you and my dad are married. I said, yes, you're correct. So then it was like, well, that's great. That's her, what she... I didn't like what she sees it as. She understands that part. So that's great. It was like, I no longer have to say anything anymore from there, which it's like you said, I don't ever want to shelter my kid either. Like, I don't like sometimes my husband will tell my stepdaughter, my older one, he'll be like, what are you listening to? I'm like, Pete, trust me, on TikTok, on all these things, she has a phone. You don't think she sees or hears bad words? Or like sometimes if like a rap song has too many bad words and we're in the car, he'd like change it. I'm like, trust me, this girl done heard, I'm sure, way worse with either classmates, friends. You know, they're kids. You know, they're kind of going through that. So to me, it's almost like, why pretend it's not it's there?
It's in the world. I mean, and I'm not saying like teach your kid how to be world-like, right? But, you know... Teach your kid just how to be a good human being.
That's a
it.
perfect way to end it.
That's it.
Teach your kid to be, because it all starts in the home.
Yes.
Personally, I feel like everything starts in a home. How you teach your kids, how you know what I'm saying, how you tell them to treat others, all those things I feel are very important. So, you know, to conclude this, I really appreciate you coming on. I really appreciate you being super open about it. I hope that anybody listening, whether you've felt the way Valentine did, where it was like you were trapped in this body and didn't feel like, you know what I'm saying? You still maybe are kind of dealing with maybe not being able to talk to your family about it, and you're living this pretend life that's really not yours. I hope that Valentine's story brought a little bit of openness to you and maybe some hope to you, to where like, you know, I don't have to live in this lie.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
And remember, there's resources out there. The Montrose Center Legacy Clinic, who is connected to the Montrose Center, that will help you out get a therapist if you need one or if you want one.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have one. But please be sure that you do the process correctly and take care of yourself. Make sure you're healthy. Make sure, you know, you don't go to the back alley. And I appreciate you creating a safe place.
Thank you, for sure. Of course.
To talk about this, and, you know, also being open-minded in the information and allowing me to give information out.
Yeah. And I appreciate you for, you know, you coming on and explaining everything that you did, because I still feel that some people find it offensive when you ask them about it. You know, that's why I was like, I asked Connie and I was asking Connie the questions. She's like, trust me, reach out to my cousin. He'll talk to you. I was like, really? And I was like, but I don't want to sound dumb. I was like, because, you know, I can honestly say I'm ignorant about a lot of stuff. So I felt like this was the perfect way for me to like educate.
I can honestly say that a lot of encounters that I've had, you know, with transgender people, they do kind of get offended. I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I think it's important to, if you want people to understand you and people to respect you, in a sense, you're an advocate, you know, to speak about, you know, what this process is.
For sure.
You know, we, like I said before, we have to accept that people don't know everything, and we have to be patient with people. Like we want them to be patient with us, and the way that we want to be accepted, we also have to accept how people think, and that's okay.
Yep, I agree. You said it perfectly. Tell people where they can find you, Valentine.
You can find me on Instagram at That Boy Valentine, Facebook, or I have a Super Pet Sitter page. It is called Super Pet Sitters. I'm an awesome pet sitter. I'm right now locally at West University, Rice, Bel Air, Westline, Bracewood area, in that general area. So you can find me there.
And so you need a pet sitter, you know where to go. Thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Don't forget, I am dropping a new retro collection this Friday. So excited. I think it's very women empowerment, like the one I'm wearing today, Mujer Poderosa, you know. So thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate it. I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and I hope that it was informative to you, and that, you know, now this open conversation is there for you, and you know what I'm saying? You are respectful towards anybody who is going through their transition. So thank you again so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.